Who else just came in? Is that is that Morris? That's Morris. Very good. Okay. Good morning, everybody. We are on Mem Gimel Amar Aleph, 43a. Ama Rav Chia Berei de Abba Banachmeni Amar Rav Chizda Amar Rav. We are right before the line, about 5 lines before the white line. Mr. Habe, you have it? Right before the white line, about 5 lines before the white line. Towards the bottom of the page. Okay? So he says the following. Now, the Amrilan, some say it was Amar Rav Chizda Amar Ziri. Some say it was Rav Chizda that says the name of Ziri. And what does he say? He says the following. He says, Kol ha-mugmorot mevorchin aleim borei atzei b'samim. So mugmorot is, let's say you have some sort of, you take a spice and you go ahead and you put it into a pan and you burn it, right? And after you burn it, you burn the spice, the smoke comes up, and it has a very nice smell, and there's a very nice smell that comes from the burning. Okay. Now, after you burnt it, Rashi points out, you burnt it. There's nothing left. The spice is not here anymore, right? Usually, when you make a bracha on a spice, right? You see the spice, right? The spice is there, but here the spice is gone. The spice is burnt up. It was burnt, and yet this opinion says in the Gemara that you still go ahead and you say a bracha because it was originally it came from a piece of something from a tree, and therefore you say the bracha of atzei b'samim, right? There's the bracha called atzei b'samim, and there's a bracha called isvei b'samim. We're going to see that sometimes, depending on where the source of the item that you're using, that gives the smell. If let's say you have, let's say something like cloves. Cloves comes from, well, let's say cinnamon, right? Cinnamon. What bracha do you make on cinnamon? Cinnamon, it would be asay b'samim. What is cinnamon from? It's a piece of like a piece of wood, like a tree style thing. It comes from the tree, and therefore you would say asay b'samim. If let's say it's
Rabbi boremine b'samim.
Okay, so mine b'samim is when something. There's two possibilities. There are at least two cases that you'll say mine b'samim. What are the two cases say mine b'samim? If something has a beautiful smell, it's made for smell, but it does not come from the tree.
Also,
what do you say?
It's like sometimes we have like the rose water, so it's also smell, but it's like a liquid. So you can say you don't know what is inside of it.
Okay, so the general, if you don't know whether the source comes from the tree or it comes from the ground, let's say an herb, right? There's something called an asev, like from the isvei b'samim. Isvei b'samim is something like a plant. If it's a plant that's made for gifting, it's the purpose of the plant is you use it for smelling purposes, then the bracha is isvei b'samim, right? Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, borei isvei b'samim. That would be the bracha on something that's a plant. But however, if it's from a tree, it's asay b'samim. Now again, what does it mean, asay b'samim? Asay b'samim means that you create wood that has a great fragrance. That's asay b'samim. But if it's something like we said, if it's not from a tree, if it's not then it would be, if it's not classified in the tree family and it's in the plant family, then the bracha is vei b'samim. Okay, the bracha would be you thank Hashem for the isvei, The Zvei
So
is
it's
the
based is plant or tree?
plant, like Asev. Nasati Asev, you said today in the Shema.
So the mint,
Asev
mint.
B'Sadcha. Asev is what? Asev B'Sadcha Vemtecha. I'm gonna give grass to your animals. What'd you say, Mike?
The mint is a plant,
He's talking-
right?
So
And it has a smell to it.
where
The
does it
mint.
come from? Yeah, so where does it come from? Where
The
does
pet, I think it's a plant. It's a small plant comes from the ground.
okay, so and the mint,
Yeah, it's a weed.
We use in Morocco. We used to use this for Havdalah for the Besamim.
and did you say it's Zvei B'Samim, or you said, what'd you say on it?
My
It's
answer
very-
it's a great question, Rabbi.
Okay, so I'm gonna, there's an amazing idea. Good morning, Avram. Good morning, Shmuel. So really, if it's something, good morning, if it's a plant, it's Zvei B'Samim, okay? If it's something that's not a plant and not from a tree, meaning that sometimes there's certain things that come from the animals that they would have have a very nice smell, they would make Bore Minei B'Samim. And what do you say? You see, before you smell the item, you say the bracha. Okay? Let's say like a Motzei Shabbat. Before what a lot of Svardim, they do it on Hadashim. Correct? I mean, different people do different things. I've seen Hadashim. What do you say, Mr. Haber, by the community? You say Bar Mitzvah in your house or in the shul? In the house. Now, Mr. Haber says in the house, he says, what do you use in your house? Cloves or something else? But anything that you use, you say Bar Mitzvah, right? So let me share with you an amazing Mishnah Berurah, an amazing Chafetz Chaim. Yes. Hold on, I get the safe. Yes. Yeah, what do they say? What do they say on it? In the shul, what do they give you? Is it Hadashim or not Hadashim? So it's wooden. So, and what do they say? Burman. Some of them say Asay B'Samim. What is they say? Asay B'Samim. See, Mr. Abbas, now, so that will be a difference between the Sfardim and Ashkenazim. Let me explain what I'm saying. The Sfardim, the Yalkut Yosef will say clearly, if you're using for Havdalah, depending what you're using, if you're using something that's from a tree, let's say Hadassim, you would say Asay B'Samim. If you're using a plant, you say Isvei B'Samim. Isvei is like Asev, a grass that gives beautiful fragrance. The Ashkenazim, the Chafetz Chaim says that we say Motzei Shabbat, it doesn't make, the minhag is, it doesn't make a difference what you're using Motzei Shabbat, you should go ahead and say Borei Minei B'Samim. Ashkenazim will say on Motzei Shabbat, Minei B'Samim, even on something from a tree. What? Now, and Yaron says they're not giving the option. Yaron says in the Siddur, in the Kol Yaakov Siddur, that's used here in the Safra Synagogue, they don't tell you, by the way, it depends what type of item you use. They just say Minei B'Samim. But you open the Yalkut Yosef and you'll see, he doesn't tell you, he tells you it depends what you are using, right? So what's going on over here? See, take out the halachot of Dini Hapsamim L'Havdalah, right? So the rules of Hapsamim L'Havdalah. So it says, after you say the Geffen, Havdalah, you start up with that Geffen, then you take out the Psamim. If it's from a tree, if it's a min 8, you say Asay B'Samim. If it's from a grass, Asev, you say Isvei B'Samim. And if you're not sure where it's from, Yosef Tzaddik, that's where if you're not sure, then you say Borei Minei B'Samim, right? Because at the end of the day, Minei B'Samim means you're thanking Hashem for creating different types of fragrances. Asay B'Samim is specific. It's a fragrance that's from the wood. It's Vei B'Samim, you thank Hashem for creating fragrances from grass. Minei B'Samim is generalization, like a shakol ni'eh b'dvaro. Everything was created with God's word. So minei b'samim will work b'di'evet for anything. If you say minei b'samim, so therefore, when you're not sure, you say minei b'samim. So what's going on by the Ashkenazim? Why are the Ashkenazim we just say minei b'samim, whatever you're using for Motzei Shabbat on Saturday night, we say minei b'samim. We don't make the difference. We're not so, and we don't
That
make.
sounds, Rabbi.
What do you
It's easy.
say?
It sounds good. It's easy.
It's exactly, it's easy. But on the other hand, but you, in a certain sense, the Sfardim have an advantage because they're doing exactly the way the way the bracha was intended. So why are the Ashkenazim doing a broad bracha when you should be more specific, right? Is that a great question? Oh. You hear what the great Yaron says? If we'll take what Yaron said, take what Mike said. Mike says it's easy. Yaron says, if you make a mistake, if you say the wrong bracha, you're out. It's all or nothing. When if you say aseh b'samim, if you say a bracha, blessed be Hashem for creating the wood fragrance, and it's not a wood fragrance, it's a plant fragrance. Or the opposite, you say blessed be Hashem who created the grass fragrance, and it's really a wood fragrance. You're not yotzei. You have to say the bracha again. Because of that fact, and when people make havdalah, you go into a shul and make havdalah. The average guy, not everyone is educated. Not everyone learned the Gemara and Berachos to know that aseh b'samim is something that goes from the trees. Isvei b'samim is something that goes from the ground, the plant. A guy walks in, he sees they make Motzei Shabbat. He comes to a place, they make the bracha Baruch Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borei aseh b'samim. So he thinks that's the bracha that you make every time borei aseh b'samim. Or he hears them say Isvei b'samim. And he thinks that's the bracha on spice. He doesn't know that, it depends what type of spice, where the spice comes from. If the spice comes from a tree, spice comes from and therefore the uneducated people could make mistakes and they will make a bracha levatala. So therefore the Ashkenazim, that's why they say, we're going to do a Motzei Shabbat on Saturday night where everybody makes a bracha on spice. We're going to make it easy, like Mike said. The people shouldn't make any mistakes. We'll give them a broad bracha. That's what we're going to do. That's the bracha we're going to give them. And therefore, you never could go wrong with that. The only thing is, but you're not doing the ideal way the bracha should be done. Because really, the rabbis instituted the bracha should be more specific. So therefore, the Chavetz Chaim says it's better that the Ashkenazim should, in their psamim, take a mix, get something from the tree, and get something from the ground, and therefore you have both tree and ground. And if you have both psamim together, what's the law for everybody? If you have both psamim from the tree, I have a clove from the tree, and I have a plant that comes together. The law is if you have two different type of spices, one is from a tree and one's from the ground, you would say, you can't say aseh b'samim because there's something here from the ground. You can't say isvei b'samim because something here from the tree. What's the proper bracha in such a circumstance? Borei minei b'samim. So therefore, that's the best way to go. And therefore, based on that, I think we should start manufacturing cloves for the Ashkenazi community, b'samim, the cloves that have in it something from the plant as well. Because cloves is a tree. Cloves is wood. Really, it would seem to me the right bracha on cloves, meaning, what do I mean the right bracha? The Chavetz Chaim says, but during the weekdays, it would seem that during the weekdays, the Ashkenazim should not say Borei Minei B'samim on cloves. Only on Motzei Shabbat. That's what I want to read the language again. Because on Motzei Shabbat, on Saturday night, they didn't want people to get confused. But if you're a guy, the question is, what about the rest of the week? Are people going to get confused the rest of the week? Maybe not everyone is careful to say brachot on samim the rest of the week. So if you're a person who's going to say the bracha, you could do it the right way. I'm going to read the language, but I think it's fascinating the sensitivity that we have for the uneducated people. How they can make mistakes, and we're sensitive to that, and therefore the halacha, in a certain sense, will be they'll alter the halacha and they'll do something which would generally be b'diavad, and they'll make it lechatchila, just to be because we're concerned that people will make mistakes, and we don't want the Jewish community. I mean, the same way. Listen, we don't blow a shofar on Rosh Hashanah that comes out on Shabbat. We don't take a lulav on the if Shabbat on Sukkot, we don't take a lulav because we're afraid that people will make a mistake and they'll come to carry. So we see there's a great sensitivity we offer people. We have people in the community that make mistakes. So the Chafetz Chaim says, even though during the weekdays you should say the bracha on each specific species, the proper bracha, therefore will come out clearly from the Chafetz Chaim that during the weekdays, that on clothes you should say Asay b'samim. That's what it seems to come out. I never heard anybody.
It's not common. It's not common to do such bracha on weekdays, right? That's the good part.
Yeah, but sometimes people want to make extra brachot, meya brachot. Sometimes they're concerned that they get 100 brachot. It's not so common. You're right. But the ideal thing, I mean, technically you will be yotze still if you said mini b'samim on the clothes, but you didn't do it the way you're supposed to do it. There's a way. There's a great Rabbi Heinemann in Baltimore. He's in charge of the Star K Hashgacha. Everyone knows the Star K Hashgacha. So I was once in his shul. I've many times I spend in Baltimore. I have family in Baltimore, so we used to go on a regular basis for Sukkot. And we live in an apartment, so out there's a home, and there was a certain announcement in the shul that they made, which I went over to Rabbi Heinemann afterwards, and I spoke to him about the announcement, and he says, we are lechatchila Jews. I'll tell you what the story was. They made an announcement. Yaron, you're going to remember what you wanted to say? They made, let's say it was Yom Tov. So there's a halacha on Yom Tov, and let's say Yom Tov was Shabbat. So the law is Shabbat on Yom Tov. Let's say if today is the first day of Yom Tov and today is Shabbat, okay? And tonight and tomorrow, tonight is the second day of Yom Tov, right? So on Shabbat, even though it's Yom Tov, I have to do Suda Shlishit on Shabbat, correct? But because tonight would be Yom Tov, so the law is that today I'm supposed to be careful not to start lechatchila a meal in after 9 or 9.5 hours into the day, because you have to save a nice appetite for the Yom Tov. Okay? So lechatchila they'll say, eat your Suda Shlishit before a certain time. They'll make an announcement, eat the Shlishit before a certain time. So the way the person made the announcement in the synagogue was, you can't eat Suda Shlishit after let's say 3:30, 4 o'clock. So I went over to Rabbi Heinemann. I said, the person who made it privately, of course, and I said, the announcement, people might make a mistake and think that you can't eat Suda Shlishit after that time, but it's not true. It's lechatchila. Ideally, you're supposed to have the Suda Shlishit before, let's say 3:30, whatever, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But if a guy did not have it before that, he still will have it afterwards. He can still eat a small meal as long as it's Shabbat, until he can still eat before sunset. He can still eat a small meal. So Rabbi Heinemann told me, it made a big impression on me. It was many years ago. He says, we are lechatchila Jews, so to speak. Meaning we are not lechatchila. Since you're not supposed to eat after that time, lechatchila, you're supposed to have it before. Therefore, we make the announcement. But I still maybe disagree. Ani hakatan, that still, I think the announcement needs to be the person. Maybe he was defending the person who made the announcement, but I personally believe that still people will make a mistake and think. I would say lechatchila. Person needs to lechatchila. The suda should be done a certain way. But it was just interesting the way he said we're lechatchila Jews, meaning there are people that live under b'diavad. And that's a problem. But on the other hand, sometimes the evid becomes a lechatchila. So we have to know when and how do we apply it. Mr. Avery, you like that? Like the story. That was the story. So here, the b'diavad comes to lechatchila for the Ashkenazim. Then on Saturday night, the b'diavad is say borim b'nei b'samim. Just a broad blacha on cloves is the b'diavad. But that becomes the lechatchila because of the concern. We allow you to do that lechatchila because of the concern people make that mistake.
Rabbi,
Yes,
I have two
but during the
questions.
weekdays you shouldn't do that. And therefore I say, for Motzei Shabbat, the Chavetz Chaim says, best is take something. I'm going to you too. Beautiful. And it was beautiful. Good morning, Sammy.
Sammy, thank you, Sammy.
Yes.
Rabbi, two questions.
He tells me to tape for him, put it on live my phone so I can hear Nakishah and the Torah. Guess what happened to me? This Baba Ganush. I missed Yahweh.
Thank you, Sammy. יברכך השם וישמרך.
No blame it.
Tomorrow again, Sammy, tomorrow again.
We don't blame anybody for anything. He's talking about. No. Okay,
Excuse me,
everybody.
Rabbi, I have two questions, Rabbi.
Yes.
Number one, according to the Mishnah Berurah, would you say that on Yom Kippur, when people hand out an esrog with cloves in it, you should make a bari atzei b'samim? Number one.
Right. What do people do on usually? What do people they say? Minei? But it could be the same problem. Maybe Yom Tov might be similar to Shabbat, that people will make mistakes. So therefore, I would think that Yom Tov should be if it's Yom Kippur, where Shmuley is pointing out Yom Kippur, people are very concerned. They're missing in the 100 brachot on Yom Kippur because they're not eating on. So therefore, some people give out an estrog with cloves in it. They should say for the Ashkenazim, they would say the minei b'samim, because the average person in shul who's not educated will make a mistake. If you start saying asay b'samim, then they'll most probably make a mistake. So I think the right thing to do is minei b'samim in such a circumstance. But it's on Yom Tov, it's similar to Shabbat.
The second question is, I know we discussed eitz and adama, but perhaps why don't we say the same thing when it comes to eitz and adama? You have fruit, vegetable questions, like people don't know what they make on pineapple, strawberry, blueberry. Is it a eitz adama? Why aren't we doing universal bracha for such items like that?
Right, because really people, because very good, because that goes back to the Chatchila point. Really, a person's supposed to figure out what the rabbis wanted us to be specific.
Understood. But why is there a difference between besamim and let's say fruits and vegetables, which are so?
Right, because it could be that fruits and vegetables is a commonly eaten food item, and people are more knowledgeable in that. Something you do 7 days a week, but besamim, maybe because it's something that's done infrequently, so people are not. He says that people are not experts in the specific type of bracha on samim, on spices, and I think we see that today. Many people don't even know what is asay samim, ispe samim. Most people don't know what it's all about. Why don't everybody know, but they know but they know hadama. Thank you, Sammy. They know hadama. They know bor creates because that's something that everybody's doing. We come in contact with it on a regular basis, but not samim, and also with samim, Shmuel. Sometimes there's only one person that says the bracha. So sometimes it's not like something that everybody is doing. Like Adama Ha'etz, everybody's doing Adama Ha'etz. But sometimes the Marim Minei B'Samim, sometimes maybe this time, this guy is saying the bracha, and everybody, it's not a brachot that everybody is so frequent. Even maybe in the house, sometimes more people are frequent to do it. But again, it's only once a week and so on and so forth. So maybe that's why and people are not knowledgeable enough in this. Okay, so that would be so I'm just recommending, because the Chavetz Chaim says, nevertheless, it is better to take samim that will have the bracha minei samim without any question. So that's why I would say the easy thing is to get cloves that have in it some things that have from the ground as well. I was wondering, hyssop, right? I saw yesterday, somebody showed me, it's called Azov Samim. Azov is a plant, correct? Hyssop is a plant, correct? Akiva? Hyssop is it's a grass, right? Azov is a grass. Am I correct? Everybody, I'm correct in that? Mr. Haber said I'm correct in that. That's what the Azov, that's with the right? So there's a great advantage of using hyssop samim because hyssop samim has both the grass. I saw it. I opened it up, I got the grass and I got the clothes. So I got both. The atzei b'samim contains something that with that the thing inside wood. There's the atzei b'samim and there's isvei b'samim mixed together. And when you have atzei and isvei mixed, when you have the wood and the grass mixed, the proper bracha l'chachil is minei b'samim. And therefore that was a good box. I got to start getting this hyssop. This hyssop. I gotta talk about getting this hyssop b'samim from my. I never heard anybody be particular about it. People buy you go to a store, you buy clothes, and you say minei b'samim on it, and okay, but the better way to go seems there's something in life we want to do. Want to do better. If you do it, the better, even the more ideal way for the Ashkenazim is to try to get something that has both, that contains both. Okay, so that's what it would seem. I found it fascinating. This the sensitivity for the uneducated. Difficult to remember which is which.
Once a week, and we have the time doing it, but we don't know when to do it, because you can do 100 times a day. You can say, okay, after coming you have to do bracha again. So we have to do bracha all the time, and do one bracha also.
The people, okay, but again, the Sfardim are not concerned. They feel the people are going to be educated in it. And you should know the Sfardim use B'samim more than Ashkenazim. You at a wedding, you use B'samim at a wedding. We don't do that. You have B'samim at a wedding. Sfardim are more into the B'samim than the Ashkenazim. You do it by Brit Milah also, you do B'samim? You do a Brit Milah at a wedding also. Yes, at a wedding, a Sephardi wedding, they call up somebody to say the bracha on the B'samim. I was just at a Sephardi wedding, Nathan Batesh's wedding. Yes, they have someone that they call up someone, so they're more, they do B'samim even more frequently. But again, that's also, there's one person saying the bracha, not everybody is in on it. Yes, you want to say something, Yaron? I'm sorry.
I was remembering that day every day was being after the Shidai, and the smoke is coming in his pocket, and he was doing bracha. So I guess I get a bunch of bracha a day.
Right, he wanted to make sure, he's saying that our good friend, Daniel of Shalom, had in his tefillin bag, talus bag, whatever, or his pocket, not his, in his pocket, he had samim. He would say bracha every day on the samim because he wanted to make sure he gets the 100 brachot. Okay, but you got to know what's the right bracha. If you're going to, what's the right bracha to say? Okay, let's continue in the Gemara. So we're going to get our feet wet a little bit now in this story. Kol ha-mugmuros, back to the Gemara. We said about the mugmuros and how they'll translate mugmurot. I mean, the way they translate it over here, all incense. What's incense? Incense means you take something and you go ahead and you burn it, right? And we're talking about something from a tree. It originated from a tree. You go ahead and you read the bracha on that incense, right? And then it's smoked. It gave a nice smoke. And Rashi points out there's no, and now the incense is gone. The tree, the wood that you use to make that smoke, which created the smell, is burnt. But the smoke is going up and it smells beautiful. So the Gemara says, Kol ha-migmuros mevarchen alei borei aseh b'samim. So he says the bracha that you say on this is aseh b'samim because it came from the wood of the tree. This that you made this smell. Chutz, except from chutz may what's this thing? May mushk. Mushk is a type of fragrance, a type of spice that does not come from a tree, does not come from a plant. Shemin chayahu. It comes from an animal. It's an animal. It's from an animal. Rashi says it's from the bowel movement of the animal. And others have different, that the Rashi says. Let's see what they say. The Rosh Rabbeinu Yonah says, And so it's different opinion exactly what is this. It comes, what part of the animal does it come from? Is it from the sweat of the animal? There are different opinions, but whatever it is, that it's something that has a very nice fragrance. And therefore, because it doesn't come from it, therefore, since it's not from a tree and it's not from the plant, the bracha is minei b'samim. That God, we're thanking God for creating different types of fragrances. So now they're going to add meitive. They ask the following question: Ein mevarchin borei aseh b'samim ela ala farsimon shel beis Rebbe. You don't say the bracha of borei minei b'samim only on the farsimon shel beis Rebbe. Now, farsimon, they translate is balsam wood. It's a certain type of wood, which is a very special wood. It was found usually in the house of kings and princes, and therefore that wood, and then you would go ahead and you would light up the wood, or you would smell that, that wood, but the wood is still here. It's not that it's just the smoke of the wood that you're making the bracha on. This special wood and the afrasma shall base kesa, or the wood of the Caesar, meaning, what do you mean the wood of the Caesar, the Tsar? Because he had that wood, because the rich people had that wood. Most probably it wasn't commonly found. Since it wasn't commonly found, and Rashi says the wood itself is coming in front of us. Maybe it's the wood has an amazing smell. So you're not saying a bracha on the smoke when the wood is not here anymore. You're saying the bracha on the wood itself, shall beis Rebbe, shall beis Kesa, because they are the ones who have such wood, because they are very wealthy and they could go ahead and get the item that's not commonly found by the average person.
But let's say, for example, a wood like that, I've never seen it in my life.
I don't think so. Shechianu is more something, okay, would have been something that comes from season to season, but that thing is always around. Happens to be that you just didn't have it.
There's some plants, I don't know if you're aware of it. So, like, I've never seen them here in the States, but especially in the tropical. At a certain season, at night, it smells, the fragrance comes out.
Beautiful. Right, very good. How do you like that? So the Gemara says, Hadassim. You say Hadassim, you say the bracha, Aseh b'samim on Hadassim, on the myrtle tree. It's a myrtle branch from the tree. So we see you do not say the bracha on just the smoke. It has to be the actual thing has to be here. You can't just, if the thing is already burnt up, you can't say the bracha. So the Gemara says to Yufta. So the Gemara says it's a good question. It seems like to be a knockout on the previous opinion. And we'll have to go see tomorrow. We'll have to see more in the halacha, more about this. But the Gemara now is saying if the item is not here anymore, if there's nothing from the item, if the thing that caused the smell is totally gone, was burnt up, you only have the smoke left. So the Gemara is saying you would not say the bracha because it's not here. It has to be something that's still here, a resemblance of the item that's here. We'll have to see more. We'll go try to pave our way through these. Have a great day, everybody. A Chodesh Tov, and tonight again, and tomorrow's Rosh Chodesh again. Beautiful to see everybody on.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Chodesh Tov, everybody.
Chodesh
Take
Tov.
care.
So, you have a big crowd on Zoom now.
Yeah, we have a big crowd today. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you, Joseph, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Chodesh Tov from Shmuel and everybody.